Since the beginning of time, there has been a law of emotional gravity, an invisible force that dictates what enters and leaves your life. You felt it many times. It's the shiver that runs through you right after you give up, the exact moment you stop forcing the lock. Think of life as a train about to leave. You've run, shouted, pushed through the crowd to get on. And just as you collapse on the platform, exhausted and with defeat burning in your chest, that's when fate whispers to you, it doesn't have to be done anymore. It's not luck. It's not chance. It's alignment. It's the universe holding its breath against you. As you'll see, this movement is infinitely deeper, and less draining, than any frantic effort. We live in the age of urgency. The culture of now. Quick success, immediate answers, instant results. We've been programmed to believe that the faster we run, the closer we get. But life, in one of its bitterest ironies, shows us the opposite: haste makes waste. When your mind rushes, it narrows. It's like a laser beam, so intense on a single point that it blinds you to everything happening in the vast landscape around you. Herein lies the great seeker's paradox: whoever looks too much, misses the essential details. Excessive vigilance, control, pressure, that ruminating thought that gives you no peace, acts like a fog. It disconnects you from the process. It distances you from the magic. Take a second. Breathe deeply. Remember. What was the most valuable gift life gave you without you chasing it? That job opportunity that appeared when you were engrossed in a hobby. That special person who burst into your life just when you had given up on finding love. That brilliant idea that arose while you were distracted, watching the rain, or simply walking. It wasn't a glitch in the system. It was the natural way authentic attraction works. It's a simple, yet devastating truth: when you stop chasing, the world stops running away. Some stories are symbolic. In 1883, a Scottish sailor noted in his journal that the ocean current carried him to a port he wasn't headed for. It wasn't a navigational error, it was a surrender to the greater forces. Life, like the ocean, has invisible currents that pull you toward where you fit in, not always where you think you should go. If you insist on rowing against them, you'll end up exhausted, confused, and, paradoxically, further away. The principle isn't to remain still, it's to learn to read the tide and work in harmony with it. There's a tribe in Tanzania, the Hadza, that possesses profound wisdom on this subject. Their teaching on abundance is beautiful: searching for honey is losing it. Listening to the bees is finding it. They don't run desperately after the hive. They stop. They observe. They feel the air. They hear that distant hum. If they were to engage in anxious pursuit, they would end up exhausted and empty-handed. Doesn't something similar happen to you? When you pursue with anxiety, your perception becomes clouded. You are so obsessed with what you think should happen that you are unable to see what is actually happening. If this is making you think, subscribe now and turn on notifications. Imagine you are chasing a project, a desire, a goal. You run, you force, you push. And the more you do it, the greater that internal feeling of lack becomes. It's as if your own energy is screaming, "It's not here. I don't have it yet." That internal vibration, call it emotion, belief, or state of mind, is a reverse magnet. It doesn't attract, it repels what you are trying to achieve. Now, observe the contrast: when you enter a state of calm. When you align with yourself. When you're not begging for an immediate result. Things come together with unexpected ease. You become receptive, perceptive, sensitive, able to notice the signs that your haste prevented you from seeing. The first component of this silent law is clarity without tension. It's not passivity, it's a presence that allows you to see beyond fear. Think of a lake. If you stir it with your hands, the reflection disappears, the water becomes murky. Leave it still, and the image forms on its own. That's how your mind works. Stir it with pressure and urgency, and you'll lose clarity. Let it settle, and the answer will appear. It's natural to think, if I don't fight for what I want, it won't come. This belief is a heavy anchor. I ask you to look at your life. How many times did solutions appear when you stopped obsessing? How many times did someone come to you just when you were no longer trying to impress them? That is real attraction. It doesn't come from brute force, but from inner coherence. We confuse action with pursuit. To act is to move from clarity. To pursue is to move from scarcity. Pursuit communicates lack. Aligned action communicates availability. And that is what attracts. Clarity is not just knowing what you want. It is a deep inner state, knowing which path belongs to you, what your rhythm is. It acts as an invisible force that organizes your world. The trick to clarity is that it doesn't appear when you force your mind to think more, but when you reduce the noise that clouds it. It is the opposite of what we have been taught. Consider the example of the Australian gold rush of the 19th century. The most successful prospectors were not those who dug frantically without pause. They were those who spent more time observing, reading the landscape, and studying the earth before digging. They knew exactly where to intervene. Clarity saved them effort and frustration, and brought them with pinpoint precision to their goal. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what's coming might change your way of thinking. Perhaps you feel like a sailor, constantly correcting the rudder, but your ship isn't moving forward, it's just zigzagging aimlessly. The navigator's paradox states, the more you correct the rudder, the more the ship zigzags. When you act from a place of confusion, any action, however intense, ends up scattering you. Without clarity, you only react, you don't move forward. Clarity isn't an effort, it's an alignment. It doesn't arise when you force yourself to choose, but when you understand what choice lies dormant within you. A 1994 study in Estonia on goals and productivity yielded a surprising result. The participants who stopped trying to control the outcome were the ones who made the most progress. Their commitment was to the process, not to an obsession with the destination. Letting go of the attempt to manipulate every detail gave them a broader and less anxious perspective. When anxiety takes over, you think you need speed, but what you really need is direction. There's no point in accelerating when you don't know where you're going. The saying is powerful, he who knows how to wait has never truly waited. Waiting isn't inaction, it's moving forward without anxiety. We've reached the crucial point, you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. This idea can be uncomfortable, as it implies that simply wanting something intensely isn't enough. It requires the honesty to see ourselves. Identity determines destiny. Internal vibration, not external insistence, is what summons experiences. It reminds me of the Romanian sculptor Dumitru Sofroni, who said that his best works were born on days when he didn't know exactly what he was looking for. When he wasn't forcing the form, his identity, his sensitivity, his style, his intuition, took control. The work wasn't born from rigid intention, but from who he was as a creator. That's why the phrase, desires become deaf when we shout them, is so true. Shouting a desire, internally or externally, demonstrates a lack of alignment. And what's lacking inside can never be sustained outside. Identity isn't shouted, it's expressed. It isn't demonstrated, it's projected. It isn't imposed, it's embodied. Life doesn't respond to what you say you want, but to what you're confirming in every gesture, thought, and action. Your identity is a lighthouse that's always lit. You can desire another ship, but if your light doesn't align with the course it's following, it will never reach your port. Many people focus in the wrong direction, they try to change the external world without changing the internal world. They try to mold the world without molding themselves. This mistake generates the paradox of scattered attention. Looking in all directions reduces the chances of seeing what's right in front of you. If a contradiction exists within you, you want abundance, but live in fear of spending, you want love, but perceive yourself as undeserving, your identity will always win, not your desire. The conscious mind asks, but identity attracts. The fundamental question isn't, how do I get it, but, who must I become so that what I desire recognizes me? What attracts isn't perfection, but coherence. It's not strength, but presence. Every time you truly embody the person you need to be, the world responds as if it has finally found you. If this is making you think differently, leave a comment, and share this video if you think more people need to hear this. The profound truth is that external reality isn't a wall we push against, but a reflection to which we respond. When your inner self is agitated, everything around you begins to fall into disarray. Balance is a silent but absolutely decisive force. There's an old saying from a Nordic fisherman: he caught more when he let the sea choose. He didn't fight the tide, he read it. His effectiveness came from harmony, not control. He collaborated with the sea. In life, there are forces you can't direct: the rhythm of others, their decisions, the unexpected. Trying to force them is like trying to stop a fire with your bare hands. Useless and exhausting. Inner balance allows you to navigate what you don't control without getting lost. It gives you flexibility where others break, and patience where others despair. The Baroque writer Balthasar Gracian said it with astonishing precision: nothing attracts more than a spirit that doesn't force. Pressure breeds resistance. Insistence creates distance. Calm and integrity create a space of genuine attraction. The paradox of the gatherer: if your metaphorical hands are occupied with other people's expectations, toxic habits, or doubts from the past, it's impossible for anything new to arrive. Filling your hands prevents you from gathering what truly matters. Inner balance involves emptying, releasing mental, emotional, and energetic space. You can't attract abundance from a place of lack, nor love from untreated wounds. Finding balance means ceasing to be swept away by your emotions and becoming a root, not a loose leaf. When you are in balance, your decisions cease to be automatic reactions and become conscious choices. You stop living trapped between a past you can't let go of and a future you try to force. If you feel you are pushing life too hard, constantly correcting the rudder, stop. Breathe. Observe. Ask yourself honestly: what part of me is acting from clarity, and what part from fear? The answer that arises will be your first true compass. Remember this lesson: keep it close. What you chase moves away. What you are finds you.